Today I'm making tomato basil pasta. This recipe is super easy to make and it takes less than 20 minutes. Let's get started. First, we have our pasta. Now you can use many different types of pasta for this recipe depending on what you have at home, but I'm using gluten-free penne pasta for myself and a non-gluten-free version for my husband. This recipe also calls for grated Parmesan cheese. You'll want to make sure it's grated and not shredded, since shredded cheese doesn't really combine as well with the other ingredients we're using. I have these beautiful red tomatoes that I harvested from my garden, but store-bought tomatoes will work just fine. I'll also be using 2 cloves of garlic for this recipe, and I'd recommend having a garlic press on hand since we'll be crushing these cloves to create an evenly fine texture. And I'll also be using some salt and pepper for seasoning and some olive oil. Now here are 2 of my favorite olive oils from Trader Joe's. The first is an extra virgin organic blend, and the color is really beautiful and golden. The second is just more of a generic, cost-effective option that I use in a lot of my baking recipes. You'll want to use a nice big mixing bowl to combine all of your ingredients together. And the final ingredient that we need is some basil. So let's go to our garden and harvest some. Basil is one of my favorite herbs to use in so many different recipes. I use it in pasta dishes. I've made basil pesto chicken and baked that. I've also seen it used, and I'd love to try it in both homemade cocktails and mocktails for a little unexpected twist. Now that I've gathered some basil, I'm moving on to slicing and dicing up these beautiful tomatoes. Now you can cut these up however you prefer. Some people like bigger slices or pieces in their pasta. Some people like them to be very fine, almost like a tomato sauce, but it's entirely up to you. Now that the tomatoes are ready to go, I'm just going to transfer them into the mixing bowl. And I'm cleaning the tomato juice off my cutting board before moving on to the garlic. Now here's a hack I learned when dealing with fresh garlic. To extract a couple cloves from this bulb, bang it hard to release the cloves inside. I love this part because if you're having a tough day or you just want to smack something, go for it, and the cloves will magically release for you. And I am now just peeling the cloves to make sure that they are all ready to go for our garlic press. And I really like our garlic press. This is by the brand OXO. It's the Good Grips garlic press, and it was a little more pricey than some of the ones you get on Amazon. I think it was like $18 instead of $10. It's lasted a whole long time. It's very good quality, and the actual pressing of the garlic releases a good amount of product through the other end. I've owned other garlic presses before, and I've noticed that this one gives the best yield and is the easiest to clean and to use. Now I'm adding about 3 tablespoons of olive oil to the mixing bowl. And I'm stirring until everything is well combined. For a sensory experience, you can go ahead and use your hands. It's kind of fun. You get to feel all of the different textures of the ingredients in the bowl, and if you have kids, I'm sure they would love to help with this step. Now I took about half of the package of gluten-free pasta and I'm boiling it on the stove, just following the directions on the box. I'm cooking this for about 10 to 11 minutes until al dente. And I'm stirring the pasta occasionally to make sure it cooks evenly and doesn't stick to the pot. Now that our pasta is done, it's time to remove all of the excess liquid and add the pasta to our mixing bowl full of delicious ingredients. As you can see, the pasta barely fits in this colander, so I got lucky that none fell out into the sink. Let's move over to our other side of the countertop here. All right, it's time to mix everything together. Cooking and baking can be so meditative to me. Sometimes I just get lost in stirring or lost in the process, and I find it really calming and soothing. For some finishing touches, we're going to go ahead and add about a half a cup of the grated Parmesan cheese. Now, I've had this recipe with a half a cup of this cheese. I've had it with 1 cup. I've also had it with about a cup and a half. So it really just depends on your preference for how much cheese you want. If you want a very cheesy Parmesan flavored pasta, go ahead and add more cheese. If you want the Parmesan to be kind of a secondary flavor to the tomato and the basil, I would recommend adding a little bit less, but I feel like there's truly no limit to how much cheese you can add. It's what could go wrong with Parmesan cheese, really? So it's up to you. It's your preference and it's completely customizable. Now let's give this a final stir and blend everything together one more time. After blending in the Parmesan cheese with the pasta, I'm adding some salt and pepper for the final step here. The full recipe for this pasta will be posted in the description box. Now, I'm curious to know, do you have a pasta recipe that is your favorite, is your family's favorite, that you make that's quick and easy? If so, please share in the comments below. I'm always looking for new recipes. I'd love to try something new, and I'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this video, check out this playlist here where I show you what other recipes I made using fresh food from my garden.